How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be doing what we do every patch when it comes to a brand new character, which is the things you should consider before we summon on Jiaoqiu. With Jiaoqiu coming, of course, we're going to talk about their current characters on the banner, Jiaoqiu and his rerun mate, and then not only that, the characters coming out in the future, because these all play a big part in regards to his value and how impactful he's going to be your account. Now, one thing I do want to preface when it comes to Jiaoqiu is that he is going to be a debuffer, and this one is going to be more of a horizontally investment type of unit, just because we all know for the most part he's going to be paired up with Akron and maybe other characters in the future, which we'll talk about when we talk about Jiaoqiu specifically. But going on to our characters that we have currently at the moment for our banners, we have Yunli and we have Huo Huo. Yunli at the current moment isn't as crazy as a DPS that a lot of people ended up skipping on anyway. She is a really nice unit, and I think by far one of the more fun units in this game, but fun doesn't equal value. So for the most part, a lot of people did end up skipping Yunli. She is a really cool character. I do think she's a really fun character, and funny enough, she does get buffed up by Jiaoqiu because she's able to enjoy having her ultimate follow-up count as ultimate damage, which is something that Jiaoqiu is able to boost. So it is a pretty big boost for Yunli if you ended up summoning on her. But for the most part, a lot of people didn't really summon on her. A lot of people really want to go for those really strong units, someone like Akron, someone like Firefly, Boo Hill, and any other character that's coming out. We also have another DPS on the horizon, and with their importance in the story, she's probably going to be busted, and we'll talk about that more later when we get to the future characters coming out after Jiaoqiu. But going into our next character is going to be Huo Huo. I think Huo Huo is definitely a really good character for people to pick up, especially if you don't have a premium sustain already. The thing about her is that she's really universal in a lot of the teams that she can be in, just because what she's able to provide is a pretty big deal. She's able to do off-field cleansing, off-field healing. She's able to do energy boost and also a massive attack boost as well. And for the most part, everybody wants energy, supports, debuffers, DPSs, except Akron, of course. But for the most part, majority of the cast wants to have energy. And not only that, she's able to give an attack boost, which on majority of cast also scales off of attack, which is a really good thing for her. Huo Huo is a really good universal unit, and a unit that's going to stay here for a very long time and being able to provide meaningful resources at the current moment. Of course, we do have someone like Ling Sha coming in the future, and we don't know exactly what she does yet, but most likely theorizing, and we'll talk about that later, she'll probably be some type of break unit in regards to helping out the break archetype, fill out the roles that they are missing. But overall, Huo Huo is able to be a really good universal character, especially if you really like characters that are energy intensive or really like to spam their ultimate. Someone like Yunli, someone like Argenti, really good pickups with Huo Huo. And not only that, someone like Don Hung or the dot units are really good with Huo Huo as well. Of course, going into the next banners, which are the actual new banners coming out, is going to be Jiaoqiu and Sparkle. Now, for the most part, I do want to talk about these two because I think a lot of people are wondering if they should get one or the other, and some people are thinking maybe I should skip all the way through. And the thing about Jiaoqiu, which well, of course we're going to talk about right now, like I said, I think he's more of a horizontally invested character, just because I do think for the most part a lot of people are going to have him tied to Akron, and it makes a lot of sense. Jiaoqiu is able to have that pull out from his ultimate and is giving Akron non-stop stacks, which allows you to actually go ahead and spam ultimates with Akron, which we know is a big source for damage, something that she really loves to have. Now, the thing with Jiaoqiu though is that we do see some type of universal application to his debuffs where he's able to give damage received, and this is for any type of damage coming out, by 40%, which is a really big deal. Not only that, you also have the ultimate, which gives you the ultimate damage buff as well. So there's a lot of characters that actually can use this that are pretty good with it. Someone like Akron, as we know, best in slot character. Someone like Argenti technically is able to benefit from that ultimate boost as well. Someone like Yunli is the same way. She's able to benefit from that ultimate boost, which is a really cool thing. There's a lot of characters in this game that could definitely work with that character, especially looking at it's a damage received buff, so anything can help out. And not only that, you're also able to help out with that ultimate damage buff, which we know in the future there could be a lot of characters focused on that ultimate, specifically when we're looking at how they're trying to center kits around characters, with Yunli getting a crap ton of energy from her own kit and being able to use her ultimate, which classifies as a follow-up attack and also a ultimate damage attack, which they're making sure to specify this. That way Jiaoqiu gets value as time goes. So anytime a character really loves their ultimate or really loves debuffs, someone like Jiaoqiu is going to be a big help to your account. So I do think realistically he is the more universal option for sure when it comes to pairing up with a bunch of different characters, and we've seen this trend for quite some time when it comes to agility characters being a little bit more broad in what teams they can be in versus someone like Harmony, where you have someone like, let's say, Robin being best in slot for follow-up and may have a couple of other characters who's able to work with them. Although Robin really cracked out from right now with a lot of people showcasing her. She is absolutely an insane unit, and whenever she reruns, that's going to be an interesting time. But overall, Jiaoqiu, I do think, helps you increase the character's power by an insane amount, and then can be used on other teams. I do think if you have Acheron, if you have someone like Yun Li, these characters would definitely help you out in regards to boosting up Jiaoqiu's value. I think especially if you are trying to make your Acheron hit even more and make her do her ultimate even more. Big pickup for Acheron for sure. Does she need it? Not necessarily. She doesn't absolutely need to have Jiaoqiu on the team, but it does help a great amount. Acheron's still able to clear without Jiaoqiu and probably will in the future as well. But if you add someone like Jiaoqiu on the team, you're going to get a big boost of damage and being able to wipe everything without a doubt easily. Now for the next character, which is an interesting one, is going to be Sparkle. The thing about Sparkle is she is a good unit. The thing about Sparkle is that she's able to break that skill point boundary, which is a really cool thing. She's able to regenerate them and also give you a massive amount of crit damage, which is pretty cool on her own. The problem with Sparkle is that she is leading an archetype that hasn't seen some love in a very, very long time. Right now for Sparkle, she's of course the hyper carry support, as we have a bunch of different supports right now that are centered around different methods of doing damage. You have Sparkle, which is hyper carry. You have someone like Robin, who is follow up, and then you have someone like Ruan Mei, who is for break. We have all the archetypes figured out, and we've seen a trend of them building up a bunch of archetypes that aren't main DPS. Someone like follow-up, we've seen a bunch of characters come out for follow-up. Robin, Jade, we have Dr. Ratio, Topaz, March 7th. We have a lot of really great characters coming into the follow-up mix, and that's a really good thing. But they're getting built up and fleshed out, while someone like Hyper Carry hasn't seen any improvements since someone like Sparkle. Same thing goes for the break team. They've seen a bunch of different additions as well, with having someone like, again, March 7th, Ruan Mei as always, Gallagher, and a bunch of other break units like Blue Hill, and also having Shui Yi and Firefly. They've been building up these characters, they've been building up these teams, and I think we are going to be getting more break characters as time goes by, because they still are missing holes when it comes to premium versions of certain units. I think we will get an HMC that is a 5-star that is going to be a bit better than what he's able to do. I think we're going to get a better Gallagher, which I do think Ling Sha might be that, which it make a lot of sense. You're doing Abundance Fire in a break center type of meta at the current moment, and I'm pretty sure that's what she's going to be, but we'll talk about that later. And of course, looking at hyper carry, like I said, Sparkle really doesn't have a lot to be able to force the hyper carry meta right now to be able to do as much damage and be as practical as something like follow up and also break. Break right now is absolutely absurd. They're able to go ahead and brute force their way through content, and then same thing goes for follow-up. They just have so many bonuses right now when it comes to having Aventurine, Robin, Topaz, and Numbi. You're able to have Dr. Ratio, who is free. You have someone who's able to do something like Hibiko Herta. There's just a lot of really great characters right now for that archetype that right now hyper carry just isn't in the best place right now, because now every archetype now has some type of boost or some type of synergy that makes them shoot up in DPS and value. But right now Sparkle is alone by herself trying to carry hyper carry, especially with the only characters right now that I think are fully benefiting from this, which are still good, are Sele and also Don Hung. I think these two characters are still able to do damage in their own right. Sele is still able to zero cycle every MOC since the start of the game, which is an absolutely amazing feat. And then Don Hung is still able to do his damage as well. But for the most part, these are the only two that get an absolutely amazing boost compared to something else you could do with other characters. So if you are a hardcore Sele main, if you are a hardcore Don Hung main, then I could see you using Sparkle 100%. But right now, the meta doesn't favor Sparkle at all at the moment, which does kind of suck because she provides some crazy resources with the action events forward, with being able to give crit damage like crazy, even able to boost up the attack percentage for a bunch of quantum units if you're running a mono quantum team, which we kind of haven't seen been played a lot in the recent MLCs for the most part, especially with how demanding a lot of these teams are having to be with the current MLC and all the MLCs bleeding up. Of course, let's go ahead and start talking about the next characters, which are going to be for Feixiao and Lingsha. I don't have them pulled up for some reason, that's my bad. But Feixiao and Lingsha, these two characters are going to be pretty crazy. I think for Feixiao, we're gonna see some really cool stuff from her. I do think as a DPS, especially story related, she's gonna be really cool to look at in regards to how they're gonna use her. Usually the big characters are gonna be really strong, and with how they're showcasing her in the story and how they're showcasing her being a hunt win character, very interesting. Now, we don't know specifically what she's able to do, but I do think they're gonna make sure to have it with a bang, especially with how Yun Li and Jiaoqiu aren't the craziest in the world to summon on, but Feixiao probably will be. And I do think Lingsha as well is probably going to be a pretty crazy pickup, only because I do think she will be the 5-star version of Gallagher. It makes a lot of sense in what we're going down as, with us trying to build up the break effect archetype, with us being able to replace a 4-star to give a premium version. Now, do you need Lingsha? Probably not. Will it boost the crap out of someone like Firefly, out of someone like Boo Hill? Most likely. Gallagher is going to be here, of course, for people that don't want to pull, but for Lingsha, I think she definitely is going to be that replacement, that 5-star version that we're waiting for in the sustain role for the break effect team. We're still waiting on Harmony MC as well to get somebody who's able to provide super break, maybe action advance forward, increased break effect, like a, I guess you could say, break Bronya. I think a lot of people are waiting for that as well, for us to be able to get a character that's able to provide a little bit more for what HMC is able to provide, which there's a lot of stuff that could come out in the future. We also have the stream that's going to show us how Feixiao and Lingsha work as well, so that's something you can consider before summoning on Jiaoqiu and Sparkle. So other than that, that's pretty much it when it comes to all the things you should consider when it comes to Jiaoqiu. Let me know if you're still going to be pulling for him. Let me know if you're going to be saving in regards to Lingsha and Feixiao, or maybe you're going to pull Huo Huo or maybe even Yun Li after this. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.